From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
From Raytown, Missouri, it's another week of common sense, as we like to say, on Dale Carter's America. We're going to get to some of the stuff that you reply to my posts on Facebook a little bit later in the podcast. I really don't think many of you are actually enjoying the podcast, because if you were and you listen to the back and forth, I mean, you put an extended version last week of our back and forth. I don't know how anybody can say either one of us are bootlicking for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really read the comments, so I don't know what people are saying.
One of them said I was a dick. It's like, hey, the guy in the red shirt's a dick. It's like, oh, that's really helpful. That furthers the discourse.
Broken clock's right twice a day.
All right, fine, whatever. Our podcast is presented by our friend Bob Watson. I was wearing the red shirt because that's State Farm color, and it was a Bob Watson shirt. And Bob would love to give you a rate quote on your insurance. Republicans or Democrats, he doesn't care. Money is green, and that's what's great about America. And when you get insurance companies fighting for your dollars, it's always better. And I'm telling you, State Farm is very competitive. And when you bundle your home and car insurance, you'll save even more. And when you've got a guy like Bob Watson getting it done for you, you have the gold standard of insurance agents in the Kansas City area. Over 50 years at 7th and Main in Blue Springs, 816-229-7878. Don't let the address throw you. He's also licensed in Missouri and Kansas. Like a good neighbor, State Farm and Bob Watson is there. So for those of you who do hear the common sense that comes out of this podcast, I mean, we don't always agree. We're not always going to agree. But, you know, nobody's calling people names. I mean, I'm not calling Kurt a dick, even though, you know, there are times when I'm looking at him thinking, man, you're being a dick today. I don't ever say that. He never says that to me. He may think it, but we're just trying to solve problems here in a pragmatic sort of a way, right?
Yeah.
So if you are just stumbling across this for the first time and want to help us get the word out, how might they do that?
Well, if you are tuning into the video version, we certainly appreciate it. That's the best way to take in the podcast. You can do that on YouTube or Rumble. Make sure to drop a like, drop a subscription, drop a comment. That all helps us with the algorithm. Share the link with your friends. You can find the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and then follow us on Facebook as well and comment how much of a dick Dale is.
No, absolutely. I mean, bring it on. I have broad shoulders. It doesn't matter. I'm wearing my Station 42 shirt today in honor of Graham Hoffman. I want to mention this at the top of the podcast. There is a memorial ride for Graham Hoffman's legacy that is going on Saturday, May 9th at Outlaw Harley-Davidson in Blue Springs. That's where everybody's going to form up. They're going to end at Worth Harley-Davidson in Kansas City. They're going to drive by Station 42. This is a fundraiser for both the Graham Hoffman Memorial Scholarship Fund and also Hero Fund USA, Daryl Smith's organization. And you can read all about that. Where'd you pull that up from? Hero Fund?
I just Googled it, and it was the first thing that came up.
Wow, look at you, man. You're ahead of me here. I was going to say go to herofundusa.org to read all about it. The Worth family, just a tremendous family in the Kansas City area. Gail Worth's a dear friend of mine. I know her parents, and Dylan Worth is the guy behind all this. Dylan went to school with Graham Hoffman and just thought the world of him. And if you don't remember the story on this, Graham Hoffman was an EMT, and he was treating a woman in the back of an ambulance who stabbed him in the chest and killed him. And his family was all about, we want to set up a scholarship fund so that people who want to become EMTs and serve the public can get the funding they need to go to the school to get this done. It wasn't about them. They weren't being selfish about it. They were trying to train the next EMTs out there. So that's what the Graham Hoffman Memorial Scholarship Fund is about. And again, Hero Fund USA, we've had them on many times. They get gear that cities and towns don't have the budget to get for first responders. So that's all very important stuff, and we support it. Kansas City, on the other hand, continues to be an absolute joke. Now, the day after, Quentin Lucas went on and said, without the earnings tax, we're going to fail as a city. We just can't get it done. We're $100 million in the red. Got to have the earnings tax. Okay, so you got the earnings tax. I don't think that was ever in doubt that you were going to get the earnings tax. The day after it, the mayor committed $600 million to help move the Royals to Washington Square Park, squeezed in between Crown Center and Union Station. And that's going forward. It's going to be a $1.9 billion stadium. The city is committing $600 million of that. Where'd that money come from? I know he's the pharaoh and everything, but is he also a magician? Did he wave a magic wand there and say, poof, here's $600 million? I don't get it. And then the city council passes the ridiculous no mini liquor bottles ordinance aimed at high crime neighborhoods. I mean, if you're sitting in the city council and you're there, I'm running for Jackson County Legislature. When we get problems that are going to come up, and there are plenty of problems in Jackson County, I would think if I were a city councilman in Kansas City, I might look at the violent crime problem going on in the city and go, gosh, there's got to be a way to solve that. We got to get people to stop killing each other, right? I don't think that the first thing that would pop into my mind would be, if we got rid of the mini liquor bottles in the high crime areas, that would get it done. Do you see? Am I missing something?
No. It's just avoiding the problem,
Yeah,
it always is.
Last weekend, we had someone stabbed to death right down by the Power and Light District, right in downtown, which has not been identified as one of those high crime areas. And then you had a dead body found in a car in one of the high crime areas that was shot to death. So one stabbing, one shooting. And my question was, were many liquor bottles involved? How were they involved? It doesn't make any sense. What does
if you throw it really, really, really hard at somebody, you could hurt them.
Put an eye out.
Yeah.
For sure. The pragmatic approach might be, how do we stop violent crime? Well, you don't stop it before it happens. You really can't. This whole crime prevention thing, what a joke. It doesn't happen. Police come in after the fact to clean up the mess. My point has always been, if you take enough of the bad actors out of the equation and put them in prison where they are begging to be, you will solve the violent crime problem. But they're allowing it to happen. And then when you get somebody, they found a fugitive who was on the FBI's most wanted fugitive list. They found her in Florida. She committed a murder in Kansas City. Well, if she committed a murder and you had her under arrest, how did she end up in Florida? They must have let her out. And then she escaped. We got to stop doing that. That just drives me crazy. Makes me want to pull my hair out. My wife wants to open a liquor store selling only mini liquor bottles and put it right on the border of one of these districts, because obviously it's going to be something that's in demand. Oh, and by the way, the liquor bottle thing doesn't apply to grocery stores within those districts.
Yeah, I was just reading the KCUR article.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous, and it just makes me mad. The city is in quick cleanup mode because we've got company coming. Maybe you've heard the World Cup of Soccer is coming to Kansas City. I just read this, and I didn't get into the details. I told you about it. Tony's Kansas City is reporting that they are taking down the Arrowhead Stadium moniker from the building. They're going to cover it over for the World Cup. It may never come back because it's GEHA Field, right?
Yeah.
But they're taking down Arrowhead. And the only thing I can figure, I didn't read the article from Tony, is that Arrowhead must be offensive to some of these nations that are coming here for the World Cup. Why else would it be? They're going to call it...
Which ones? Which nations is it offensive to?
I have no idea. I'm not offended by it at all.
Isn't it Native Americans that are supposed to be offended by this? So, now we're worried about Argentinians or whatever? Who cares?
In the old days when they were, and they still put up the billboards of basically changed the name and stopped the chop, I was always like, well, Arrowhead Stadium's probably going to go away at some point, and they're going to be the red and gold team at Sharp Rock Stadium.
Pointy
Rock Stadium. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was. So, so we're cleaning up the city. They've cleaned up the Adams Mark. Did you see that? I drive by that every day. That thing was like windows broken out, just looks like it was all but about to fall over. Somebody bought it, and they've got it all painted up. It just looks like a nondescript building, and they fixed all the windows. So we're cleaning up because company is coming.
Yeah. I'm trying to find an article on Adams Mark, but I can't find one.
Yeah.
But, I've seen some crazy stuff at that place, man. I think they use it for... National Guard training.
Yeah.
Because there was, I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, and forgive me if I have, but there was one time we were coming home from downtown, and it was at our old place. We would take that stadium exit.
Yeah.
And we're at the top of the ramp sitting at a red light, and I hear and you know how the Black Hawk helicopters have like the stealth mode?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they have like a stealth mode where it's you can still hear it, but it makes it like way quieter, and they turn off all the lights and stuff. And so we're sitting there, and I hear and this Black Hawk helicopter, I swear, like 20 feet over the roof of our car, just and then goes up to the top of the Adams Mark, and I see ropes coming out of it, and like dudes in black outfits like rappelling out of this helicopter onto the top of the Adams Mark. I was like, what is going on? Is this the end of the world?
Good place to train.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. That actually used to be a really nice hotel. I mean, you know, that was like the gem of Kansas City. It was across the street from the Truman Sports Complex.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when we carried the Derek Thomas show on KFKF. Derek, I don't know if you know, Derek was a linebacker
Football
for the
player,
Chiefs.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was, it broke his spine in a car accident.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then he died after that. But Derek was a huge player for the Chiefs, and we had his weekly radio show on KFKF. And there was a bar in the basement of the Adams Mark. It was a very swanky hotel. And that's where we did the Derek Thomas show. So, well, back to what we're talking about here. Socialism is taking over our big cities. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And if you're looking for a leader of the Democrat Party right now, it's Mamdani in New York. He is the face of it. AOC is the face of it. Bernie Sanders, I heard this put this way the other day. He's like the grandfather of all these people, right? He's the old man. And now you got
He's the Don.
Yeah, he's the Don. And now you got Mamdani, and Mamdani is taking a page out of Quentin Lucas's book, because they are building the first of what will be 5 eventual city-run grocery stores, because that worked out so well in Kansas City. They're doubling down in Kansas City, as a matter of fact. So the East Harlem store is going to cost $30 million taxpayer dollars in New York, and they want to have 5 of them. So what's that math work out to be?
Can we watch the video?
It's a lot. Sure.
A solution to your skyrocketing grocery bill is hidden in plain sight. This may look like a traditional food hall.
It's about to be a lot more. We're here at La Marqueta, which will soon be home to one of the 5 city-run grocery stores across New York City.
Today, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is announcing the first of 5 sites for his administration's city-owned grocery stores. The food hall you see today is going to remain, but it'll be expanded into a neighboring empty lot, which will be turned into a publicly run supermarket. How is this store going to run?
So the city will contract a private vendor that will run these grocery stores. As part of that contract, they will be required to pay union standards to their workers. That's not a suggestion, it is a requirement. Also, another requirement as part of the contract will be to pass on any subsidy directly to consumers in the form of savings. There will be a basket of goods, essential items that New Yorkers buy from their supermarkets, that these supermarkets will sell at reduced price. The other part is that this is a location that is accessible whether you're walking, whether you're biking, whether you're taking the train, whether you're taking the bus, whether you're driving. It is within reach of so many, even beyond those who call this neighborhood their home.
How'd you pick this site to be the first that you're announcing?
You know, this is a site that is rich in its history, an illustration of a vision of government that would actually meet the needs of working class New Yorkers. The history of La Marqueta begins in 1936 when Fiorella LaGuardia opened what was then known as the park.
Okay, I don't care.
That's enough. I mean, that thing's going to go on for a day and a half. You know, here's my view on this. If the market demanded it, the market would put a store there. And when you wedge a store into an area where the market won't put one, AKA what happened in Kansas City, where you haven't fixed the crime problem, yet you've put a taxpayer-funded grocery store there, what happened? People went in there and they stole everything. There was violent crime everywhere. People in the neighborhood wouldn't go to it. And that's why it failed. And that's why these are going to fail, because socialism does not work.
If La Marqueta demanded it, then La Marqueta would build it.
You know, AWG, Associated Wholesale Grocers, that's what we have in Kansas City. If there is a place that's underserved that's safe, AWG would put a store there. They'd put a Price Chopper or a Hy-Vee there. But that's not the case. It gets back to the stem, back to the root of the whole thing. You have to fix the violent crime problem. It all stems from that. And when you fix that, it's going to be amazing how the market is going to flourish. One has to happen before the other, no matter how many tax dollars you flush to get it done. And speaking of tax dollars, they got a problem in New York. We talked about this, where Kathy Hochul was like begging people after she told them, we don't need you. Get the hell out. Go to Florida, wherever you want. And then, of course, we played the other video where it's like, gosh, tell your friends in Florida to come back to New York. We really need you and all that. Well, now she's got a bill on her desk that's going to add a tax surcharge on city properties worth $5 million or more if the owner's primary residence is outside the city. So if you have a second home in New York, you're going to get a surcharge. And she says, well, that's going to drum up $500 million. Boom, I just created $500 million. Not quite the $600 million that Quentin Lucas created to help move the Royals to Washington Square Park. But hey, $500 million is nothing to sneeze at.
What is this word here? Oh.
What word is that? I have no idea. What a pied-à-terres?
Never heard it.
I haven't either. That's a fancy word. I
this
guess
is
if
America. We speak English.
If you knew what that meant, you could have a second home in New York and you could pay the tax.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the article is targeted to the intended audience.
So, that's why in the back of my mind, I still think that ultimately, bringing it back to Kansas City and Jackson County, that I still think that the ultimate solution down the road, maybe not anytime soon, and it won't be easy. It'll be hell. But the ultimate solution is for the folks in eastern Jackson County to have their own county, to govern themselves and not be attached to Kansas City. Mike Steinmeier still has that bill. He's trying to advance it in the House just to get a vote, right? Not to say, hey, we're going to do it. Let's get a vote. Let's decide what we're going to do. It's interesting. Do you think the people in Kansas City would say, oh, no, we want to keep those people?
Well, if that's how they're getting their money, then yeah.
Yeah. So at least, get us a choice there. I went to the Lincoln Reagan event last weekend in Blue Springs. And I was talking to a guy about this, very smart guy, lawyer and all that. And I said, what do you think of Steinmeier's bill to pull us out of Jackson County so that we're not tied to the city? And he thought it was a terrible idea. He's like, well, when has it ever been done? I said, well, St. Louis. He goes, oh, yeah, 1876. That was a long time ago and all that. And so I asked him, I turned the question around, and this is what I think people should do. If you live in eastern Jackson County, ask yourself this question. What is the benefit to us being tied to Kansas City, Missouri? What's the benefit? He had an interesting question. I'm not going to name him because of the implications of his answer. But his answer back to me was, well, gosh, I mean, at least by us being in the same county, we have a say in what's going on down there. If we leave and, they've stolen everything in Kansas City, where are they going to go next? They're probably going to come to us. I think that's a bass-backwards way of looking at it. If Eastern Jackson County were governing itself, right, had its own sheriff's department, had its own court system, it's already set up to do that. There's a Jason Aldean song, try that in a small town, right? Mm-hmm. So if you really think you've stolen everything in Kansas City and killed everybody you can kill in Kansas City, and you want to come to Blue Springs under a new county administration, I'd say bring it on.
Yeah. Well, we may have to protect the new county from Kansas City. And you know how we do that.
I will build a great, great wall.
Just build a wall around it.
Is Mexico going to pay for it, though? That's the question I have there. One last thing here in the opening segment, and that is AI data centers. Because that is the big thing. You've followed that, right?
A little bit.
They're building this huge mega AI data center in Independence.
And two in Smithville, and more proposed.
And I'm not sure how this happened, but the city council, they were all on board. There are a lot of questions. There's a big group in Independence that's totally against it. Maine could become the first state to put a temporary ban on those AI data centers. So watch for that. That bill is on the governor's desk in Maine. And I know there are a lot of folks, smart people in the Kansas City area who are looking at the AI data centers here. Joe Nicola, who is a state senator, very smart guy, he's all over this. There's some folks that I'm talking to as well as part of my campaign who are very smart people who think that AI data centers are not necessarily a bad idea. They just need to be done the right way. And you need to be transparent about it. What's the impact here? What's the impact on water, on power, on noise? You know, there are a lot of questions out here that have not been answered. Foreign ownership. Are these foreign companies that are doing this? So watch for that to continue. But I thought that was interesting that Maine could become the first state to have a temporary ban on AI data centers. One last thing, we're off and running for District 5 in Jackson County, and we would love to have you on board with the campaign. That is Eastern Jackson County, just a little sliver of independence. Ironically, where they're building the AI center is part of the 5th District, and then it's all of Blue Springs, Grain Valley, Oak Grove, Levacy, Buckner, just a big swath of northeastern Jackson County. The campaign is going to be in Grain Valley on May 1st for the First Friday event, and we're going to start our door-to-door knocking. It's like that's how you win. It's shoe leather. It's like knock knock. Have you ever had a politician knock on your door?
No, just Mormons.
In the 25 years I've lived in Blue Springs, in the neighborhood I live in, I've only had one politician ever knock on my door. So, and I vote every election, so I should be on everybody's list.
That's interesting.
We will see. DaleCarter.us is the website. Help if you can. Clay Como Shooters, they will help you defend your turf. We talk a lot about crime and guns and everything like that. And I have mentioned many times here that the police are not going to prevent something bad from happening to you. It just doesn't happen that way. Something bad happens, and then somebody calls 911, and the police respond. That's pretty much how it happens, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when that happens, when somebody's trying to break into your home, there's not going to be a cop sitting there beside you ready to help. You're going to have to call. There's going to be a delay and all that. So the Second Amendment is in place because you have the right to stand your ground. Stand your ground does not mean spraying bullets into a Super Bowl rally. It means having a firearm in your home to defend your family when a bad guy comes in. And the best people to deal with that are Clay Como Shooters. It's a small place right there between I-35 and I-435 on 69 Highway. They're a full-service firearms dealer. They'll buy guns. They've got experienced trainers with law enforcement background, indoor shooting range, very affordable pricing. It's where my wife bought her 12-gauge shotgun. They're not a big box store. They're a neighborhood business looking out for the community. So protect yourself and your family. Find the right firearm. Let Herb and the guy and Shane and all the guys there at Clay Como Shooters, let them find what you need, what's going to work best for you. And then the most important thing after that is to get trained on it. Clay Como Shooters, 816-452-4867. Medicare Simplified, KC, is the company that Kirk Doris runs. And they are there to help navigate the waters that are Medicare. Medicare is very complicated. Why wouldn't it be? It comes from the government. Which part, which plan, which supplement do you need? The guy who can clear all that water for you based on your individual situation. That's the thing. There's not a one-size-fits-all for Medicare. It's very complicated, very diverse. It depends a lot on you and where you are in your stage in life and how you've handled your own retirement. Kirk Doris can get you through that, and you don't even have to pay him. The insurance companies pay him. So there's no reason for you, if you're approaching 65, to not get on Kirk Doris's calendar. 816-701-6661 on the web at MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. You got somebody in your family about to turn 65, he's a guy that you will want to talk to. So if you can't go to him, he'll come to you. So make sure you call him up there and get going on that. So next segment, I call Trump fatigue, and I think it's setting in. Do you feel it?
Yeah, I have for a while.
Yeah, I know you have. So I kind of want to rehash this, and then I don't really have anything lined up here for this segment. So you may have some things you want to throw in, maybe some memes. I think there have been a few of those lately. But let's rehash what happened in 2020. It was COVID. COVID was going on. Joe Biden emerges as the nominee, and he gets more votes than anyone in the history of the country. I think there were two things at play there. I think it was Trump fatigue, that, the big middle that holds the country together, had seen the act, and it's like, I'm done with the act. I'm tired of the tweets. I'm tired of all this, nonsense, the language that he uses. I'm tired of him. It's fatigue. And then there was also the fact that they made it so easy to vote. They were like, blasting ballots out here, blasting ballots out there. And I think those two things played together. And Democrats being Democrats, what did they try and do after COVID? They tried to codify all that stuff to make it the law of the land. Mm-hmm. They were extreme measures for COVID. They did things outside the legislative process in states like Georgia and Pennsylvania, and then they tried to codify it because they're Democrats. And it's like, wow, Joey B. I mean, this guy who's barely there most days got more votes than anyone in the history of the country. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there'll never be another Republican ever win again. Yeah. Why wouldn't they want to codify that? So you had both of those things working. And then you go back to 2024, you had 4 years of Joe Biden, who face planted in a debate. And then when he face planted and the entire country, even Democrats, saw what we had been talking about for at least 2.5 years of his term, they finally saw it. They had no choice in their mind. There could be no mini primary. It had to be Kamala. She was the one who got blessed to do this. And the country goes, Trump was kind of an asshole. But, things were going better when he was president. So what the hell? Let's give him another shot. And do you think that's fair? I mean, I think that's how we got.
That seems to be what happened, yeah. It's like the opposite of the 2020 election, where if you believe, that it happened the way that they said it did, it was like Biden was kind of the normal candidate in that sense. Like he was the known versus the unknown. He was going back to something more quote unquote normal or like regulated or whatever. Yeah. It was almost a reverse in 2024 because Kamala became the wild card. She became the unknown and the person that people didn't like. I mean, we've said it before. It's like whoever the election is about loses. It's like if it's about, that's why Trump won in 2016 is because he made it about Hillary, not about him.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the case, I think, in 24.
It'll be interesting to see, what happens in 28, but we got some time to get through. You and I were texting back and forth, and I think one of the replies I sent you was, is it 2028 yet?
Yeah.
Can we move on here? And I know there are people who love Donald Trump, and they're going to go to the mat for him no matter what he does. And I have told people on the Facebook page, and I believe this to my core, even when I agree with him on policy, I am never going to love him as much as you hate him. You wake up every day thinking, not you, Kurt, but the folks with TDS, they wake up every day through a lens of what has Donald Trump done today that I can go hate on? And they do. But Trump doesn't make it easy. He makes it really hard. He puts a lot of cringeworthy stuff up. I wish to God somebody would take his phone away, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. He is who he is. He's an asshole, and that was baked in.
Yeah. I mean, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly because it's actually him, tweeting because it's like 500 words long and half of it's in all caps and it's misspelled and he's putting out the memes and everything. So I mean, at least there's that. It's like it's really bad a lot of times, but at least it's not some staffer or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what's the deal with a picture of him looking like Jesus, like he's healing somebody? You got that dialed in here?
Yeah, I have it right here.
I mean, what is that?
It's blasphemy is what it is. And it's like AI. I mean, it's typical like boomer AI slop because they fall for this every time. Like, I mean, I see it all the time, like on Facebook, all the boomers like sharing, AI like stuff. It's like, bro, this is obviously AI. But I mean, this one is obviously AI. I'm not saying he thinks it's not AI, but
no, but he says, first of all, he didn't make it. He says it was sent to him, and he sent it out. He said he thought it depicted him as a doctor.
We got to watch this because this is hilarious.
Get
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very...
By the way, there's just some like DoorDash driver that's standing next to him at this press conference, and she's just has to stand there like...
You knew what that was about. That was about no tax on tips. They were trying to make a big deal out of it. That was a cheesy thing, too. They had her knock on the Oval Office door.
Yeah.
And he's got all this crap outside the Oval. I mean, I've been to the White House, and the beauty of it is the starkness of it. Just the white, and the portraits of the presidents and all that. He's cheapened it. My God, outside the Oval Office, he's put up in gold cursive letters, Oval Office.
Yeah.
Why not neon? And then the picture, we've talked about this before, the pictures of the presidents with his editorial comment on it. I mean, it's all cringeworthy.
Yeah, and it's also just a lie. Like, no, you didn't think it was you as a doctor. Nobody believes that. And the people that are like, oh yeah, I can see that. I could see how it's a doctor. Give me a break.
They're the ones bootlicking for Donald Trump.
Such BS, dude. And it's like, yeah, he's lying. He's lying because he got caught blaspheming the Lord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
he you need to, on the right. I chastise the left a lot, but on the right, this guy's human, right? He's human with faults and flaws, and one of them is his ego. I mean, he is out of control in terms of ego. And he picks fights where he doesn't need to pick fights. Why is he fighting with the Pope?
I don't know. Well, because he spoke out against the war, I guess.
Yeah. So, the Pope is the Pope, and the Pope is always going to be on the side of peace. And he's always going to speak out against a war and all that. And Donald Trump is that guy. If word gets back to him that I'm criticizing him on this podcast, he's probably going to do everything he can to make sure I don't win my election in November.
Honestly, if he put out like a 500-word Truth Social post about Dale Carter, that would be the best thing that ever happened to the podcast.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. Maybe he'll do that. I don't know. But, that's how he is, though. He's vindictive. If you say anything against him, you're on the list. It reminds me of a guy that I worked with in radio who, his staff, it was like a cult. Mm-hmm. And if you were in the circle, everything was great.
Yeah.
And if you did something to annoy this guy, you were out of the circle and you were basically out of a job. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like that.
This is not Trump, but did you see, I just saw this morning, that Pete Hegseth read a fake Bible quote from Pulp Fiction?
No.
Okay, we gotta watch this.
You read the Bible, Greg? Yes. Well, there's this.
You've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Once.
Okay.
It's not one that I go to a lot.
Okay. Maybe language warning. I don't remember the full context of the scene.
But I got memorized. Sort of fits this occasion. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherds the lost through the valley of darkness. Shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1. When I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Yeah. So those are our spiritual leaders in the administration.
Can we not keep it separate? That's why it's church and state. It exists for a reason. Stop blending the two, right?
I don't believe in that at all.
You don't believe in the separation?
No.
You think it should be the same?
Well, I mean,
do you want your president to be your spiritual leader?
No, but that's not the same thing. I mean, is your faith the most important thing to you?
My relationship with God is my most important thing to me.
So your faith. Mm-hmm. I mean, wouldn't that necessarily inform everything that you do, including what you might do as a politician. Like, why are people anti-war? Why are people pro-life? Why are people,
it's a fine line, and when John Kennedy ran for president, he was the first Catholic president, and he talked about that. He said, I don't take my walking orders from the Pope. I'm here he swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, right? And execute the laws of the United States. And sometimes those things are different.
Right, but if they're different, then you should default to God, not to the law. Like, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's,
right,
means that you don't oppose the state just because, like, you obey the law because it's the law. But when the law goes against God, then that's when you have a problem.
That's how we get holy wars and
well, I mean,
crusades.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I just think, like, it would and should naturally inform politics. Like, if our politicians are Christians, then why wouldn't they bring that into their politics?
Well, and to your point, I think Republican politicians work really hard on pro-life issues, right? But at the end of the day, if the Supreme Court says something is the law of the land, that's the law of the land. They're not torching abortion clinics.
Right, but they're also not going to be like, well, it's the law of the land now, so I guess it is what it is, and, there's nothing we can do about it because, maybe as a Christian I'm pro-life, but because it's the law of the land, I'm just going to ignore it.
I think it's a fine line. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think mostly this country was founded on secularism and not on Christianity, for instance. I mean, it's a country that's open to all religions. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of religion here. 25th Amendment's where I want to go because that goes back to the Constitution. Pete Hegseth, to your point, they've drafted 6 impeachment articles on him today. It's not going to go anywhere. It's all for show. That's what's going on in the Senate and in the House right now. It's all for show. The Senate, again, was defeated on trying to curb Donald Trump's war effort in Iran, which, as we've talked about many times, falls well within the War Powers Act. And there are presidents since the War Powers Act has been passed who said the War Powers Act doesn't apply to me. Constitutionally, I'm the Article 2 executive, and I can do what I'm going to do with the military because I'm the commander-in-chief. So that yin and yang continues, and the Senate is wasting a lot of time. They still haven't funded Department of Homeland Security yet either, but they are wasting time on silly stuff like this. And impeaching Pete Hegseth, that's not going to go anywhere. 25th Amendment, now the Senate has decided they're going to put together a committee. I'm sorry, it's the House. It's Jamie Raskin. They're going to put together a committee to talk about Donald Trump's ability to be president under the 25th Amendment. Well, the 25th Amendment, we did this last week, has nothing to do with Congress. It's the vice president and the cabinet. And again, you talk about hypocrisy. We went through 4 years of Biden where I'm going to be generous and say 2.5 years he was not mentally there, yet he had a Marine walking behind him with the nuclear football. And they want to talk about 25th Amendment of Donald Trump. I mean, just because you don't like him and just because we criticize him for some of the cringy stuff that he's doing right now, that does not qualify under the 25th Amendment. If that were the case, anytime a president became unpopular, you'd just get rid of him. And I don't think we want to get to a point as Republicans or Democrats where it is that easy to remove a president.
Yeah.
I just don't think we do. We do have people who jump on the Facebook page and have nothing but Trump hate. We've talked about that. And they assume without listening or watching that we are his apologists. I can't believe anybody who's paying any attention to this podcast would think that we're licking Donald Trump's boots. He's a human just like the rest of us. And when he steps out of line, we're going to talk about it. And we may not always agree. And Kurt thinks we've got no business over in Iran. And I respect his opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. And he's made that opinion very pointedly, let's put it that way, on the podcast. But maybe I triggered them with the last thing that I posted. A lot of mean responses on this. You got that picture?
Oh, yeah, I'll pull it up. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a new government program for you people who have TDS, who wake up every morning and just look for something that Donald Trump has done that offends you. And, and some of them, the way they responded, I'm like, we've got your government check ready to go here. It's the Trump Derangement Syndrome Diagnostic Center. And the sign says the U.S. government is now offering monthly disability checks to those with TDS. And you see like somebody with multicolored hair and a multicolored hat. There's a BLM t-shirt, Biden-Harris t-shirt. I think that woman has purple hair. Maybe there's a blue-haired person in there. Yeah. So the responses on that, I mean, my God, just, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely crazy. Oh, well.
Remember when I was talking about boomers and their AI slop on Facebook?
Yeah. Oh, come on. That's not real. I'm not saying it's real.
Yeah, I know.
It was a joke. Have a sense of humor a little bit, right? We poke fun. Man,
I'm not upset about it. I'm just,
In the heyday of this country, SNL, Republicans and Democrats, Saturday Night Live was the place to go if you wanted political satire.
Right.
We've lost our sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So now they're all triggered. They called me a dick. It's like, you're just a terrible person, rotten hell. One of them was like, boy, I'm glad the Chiefs got rid of you. That, by the way, is changing history a little bit. I'm the one who left the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't fire me. I quit.
People are saying, I can't believe anybody would vote for you. I think some people are going to vote for me. I already have the Republican nomination for the 5th District. It's just a matter of whether I can beat a very, very liberal Democrat. So we'll have that conversation down the road. Democrats, by the way, have their own problems. Eric Swalwell. I always knew that guy was a creep. Right? We did during the history of the podcast, is that when the Fang thing happened?
Yeah.
So he got honeypotted by a Chinese spy.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get honeypotted if you're a happily married guy?
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't. And he did. So are you shocked that he was screwing around on his pregnant wife?
No, I mean, politics is a dirty business, man.
Yeah. So he's dropped out of the California governor's race. He's also resigned from Congress as women come forward to accuse him of what amounts to criminal behavior. The LA County Sheriff's Department is investigating him. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but man, when I saw this video, it certainly got my attention.
On the third occasion, I believe he drugged my drink. I only had one glass of wine. We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died. I did not consent to any sexual activity. Although I did not undergo a rape kit at the time, I disclosed the assault to the people closest to me. I also recorded these events in my handwritten calendar. The assault and its impact were later documented during my therapy sessions at a sexual assault center in Connecticut. It had a profound impact on my mental health. I self-medicated in an unhealthy way. I did not want to live anymore.
It's tough to watch, and his lawyers, their response to that is they don't deny that he had sex with her. They say that regret doesn't equal rape. Does that seem like all she had was a little bit of regret that, I'm sorry, I slept with a married guy whose wife was pregnant at the time?
Yeah, I mean, these things, unfortunately, it's really hard to parse.
It is.
Because, I mean, there's incentives on both sides. There's incentives. I mean, politicians are creeps, and I have no doubt that things like this happen. But, these people have incentives to come out, in certain moments too, and I'm not saying she's not telling the truth, but it's needs to be investigated. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see. She came out after he dropped out of the governor's race and after he left Congress. Mm-hmm. So it's not like some right-wing organizations out there trying to get Swalwell, because he's already been gotten. This exchange that I thought was interesting between Swalwell and Adam Schiff, and it certainly has not aged well.
As I said, if you've just joined or you're came in late, Senator Adam Schiff, a friend, a partner, endorsing our campaign.
Well, first of all, let me say how proud I am to support you, Eric. And, before you got in the race, it was fully my intention to probably stay out of the race. A lot of friends are running. A lot of very, capable people are in this field who, I have great respect for. But there are a couple of things that compelled me. One is that when you got in the race, here was somebody that I'd worked with for over a decade, who I had seen stand up to Donald Trump and stand up to all his MAGA allies, no matter what they threw at you, Eric. And they're attacking you again now because they fear that you'll be successful in this race, and they don't want a powerful person in the governor's office once again to stand up to this president.
We'll get through this. We're better than he is. And you often like to quote our colleague Elijah Cummings, the late Elijah Cummings, who would say, we are better than this. And that's just how I see our state, and that's how I see our country.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. During the first impeachment trial, and you did such a magnificent job in the second one, I made an appeal to my fellow senators that we could not leave a man like this in power. First of all, we had proven him guilty of what he was charged with, but this was somebody who couldn't tell the truth. He was just incapable of telling the truth. He did not know right from wrong, and he was fundamentally indecent. And it wasn't that the senators should remove him because he was indecent and he couldn't tell right from wrong and he couldn't tell the truth, and those things didn't matter all to him, but because they mattered to my colleagues, I appealed to them that he is not who you are.
Yes, that's true, because we've had no women come forward and say that Donald Trump raped them. I mean,
Adam Schiff really does have a pencil neck, doesn't he? That's a good that's a good insult.
But this is why you really should measure twice and cut once before you endorse somebody, because you really don't know what demons that they're dealing with.
Oh yeah, I mean, anytime, this is just a general principle and it's a spiritual principle, but anytime you say you're better than somebody,
yeah,
that's bad news. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So his friends are now running for the exits. Here's Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona.
Never heard of him.
What were the it was flirty. That was flirty.
He was flirty. Yeah.
I mean, that was we've heard that. We've heard that throughout.
Senator, you just said thank you so much. I want to clarify, because in the beginning,
we'll go back there.
In the beginning, you said when you first heard these rumors a few weeks ago, that's when you called him. Then you said you've heard these rumors for years. So which one is it, Senator?
So I heard rumors of him being flirty.
And that wasn't an issue enough for you to not trust him to watch your kids or be close with him?
Because, you hear this, and then when you're close to somebody and you know his wife, you see this. You see that relationship. You know that, it maybe just isn't true.
Have you asked him about it prior to this few weeks?
I asked him about it a few weeks ago when it started coming up online.
Yes. Why, when you ask him about it, if you're running his campaign, sir?
That she had no idea about these rumors circulating about him?
What were the rumors?
Yeah, he was very flirty. So this is Ruben Gallego, who was running his campaign. He is the new senator from Arizona. Now there's a video that is leaked that some think shows Gallego and Swalwell with a woman in a hotel room.
Maybe NSFW here.
Line that surfaced of Eric Swalwell making out with a woman sitting next to some man. Was that you sitting next to him?
This is an example of the lies. No, I was not sitting next to him. I was not in the room. I was nowhere. I don't even know where it happened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Chris LaCivita and a bunch of other right-wing political operatives are pushing this narrative that somehow I was in that room with Eric Swalwell, and that is an absolute lie.
Congressman, you have...
So it's not him. What do you think? It's close.
I don't know.
Who knows whether it's him or not? Now, so who leaked this and why? Think about this. It really made me wonder who leaked it and why. Do you really think it was a right-wing Republican group that leaked this?
I have no idea.
Well, I have my doubts because he was running in a very crowded field in California. And this is the kind of thing I think that Democrats like keep in a file somewhere, and when they need to winnow somebody out, it's like, release it.
Yeah.
Release the Kraken. Do you think Nancy Pelosi knew?
I have no idea, but I mean, what you're saying is certainly true. I think on the broader level that a lot of these people are compromised in some way, and that information is held until it's politically expedient.
Well, let me rewind the tape then, and let's talk about Epstein for a second, because I'm sure Epstein's going to be thrown out there at some point. We've talked about this many times. The Democrats had the Epstein files for the entire Biden era. If there was something there, they would have released it. They would have released it on him. If Republicans had this on Swalwell earlier, they would have released it. They wouldn't have held it. So why does it get held until he's running for governor of California? I think this was an inside job, and I think if anybody knew, it would be the matron of California. How do you get anything done in California without Nancy Pelosi knowing? Yet she claims in this video that she didn't know.
Today, from the Congress, he withdrew from the gubernatorial race in California. Did you tell him to resign?
Oh, I think that was his decision. I think it's a smart decision to make.
The right thing to do?
Yes, the right thing to do, yes. Not to subject members to have to take a vote on something like that, and not to subject your family. Probably 5 times in the history of our country has anybody been ejected from the Congress. Why should you be the 6th? If you have a challenge that you have to address, it's best addressed not as a candidate for governor and not as a member of Congress.
Some Republicans and others are saying that Democrats turned kind of a blind eye, that they knew what he was up to or what the allegations were.
That is absolutely positive. And it's true that they may say that, but it is absolutely not true.
You had no idea?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. And when she gets like that, that's when you know she's lying even more.
Nancy is employing what we call Democrat play number 5. I want to go through the list very quickly. As you know, when there's any question at all, the Democrats usually answer with one of 5 answers. The first, their favorite, is it's racist. Second is somebody's got something you don't have, and that's not fair. Global change / climate change, global warming / climate change. Number 4 is it's Trump's fault. Number 5 is there's nothing to see here. I have a surprise for you. We're going to add a 6th play because they've said it so often we have to add it to the playbook. Anytime something like this comes up, what will they say? Come on.
Well, I'm looking at the notes, so you have to.
Epstein! 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 That's all they got. And again, if Biden or those guys had anything on Trump, they would have been released by now. It would be out there because Democrats aren't going to hold on to this stuff. They're going to use it when they need it, and the time to have used it against Donald Trump would have been going into the 2024 election. So when cornered on anything that makes your party look like criminal perverts, if you just shout out Epstein, you'll be ahead of the game. So that is now officially Democrat play number 6. Some Democrats have learned that they've got the right to remain silent when there's an uncomfortable question. See Chuck Schumer.
Leader Schumer, you recently called the SAVE Act Jim Crow. Can you explain how it's Jim Crow to require an ID to vote in elections, to drive a car, to purchase alcohol, go to the DMV? Any comment on that?
Leader Schumer, you said you're on the same page as...
What do you think? Should we restore normal order in the Senate and actually go back to the standing filibuster? Leader Schumer, you recently called the SAVE Act...
Did you see him walk? I mean, he's like, I'm not going to answer any questions. I'm just going to keep walking.
Probably smart, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great question. How is requiring somebody to have ID to vote Jim Crow? It's ridiculous what they're saying. Then there's Kamala. Sorry, I keep saying that wrong, and I'm not doing it on purpose. I mean, I just look at that word and it looks like Kamala to me, and it's Kamala, right?
I think so.
I think that's right. Okay. So we hear that she is thinking about running in 2028. Now, personally for me, I was blown away that she was thinking at all. Back when she was in power and self-inflicted inflation was running at 9%, right, and prices were up, she tried to explain it, and this is how it came out.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this.
Well, you see, inflation is when money becomes more expensive. And so when you have inflation, that's bad. And then you take your inflation and then things get more expensive. Is that pretty close?
That was more cogent than what she's going to say and with less hand gestures.
Okay.
Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously.
There's almost like a moment of panic in her eyes when she gets these questions.
Yeah.
Right before she starts talking, she's, you know how like sometimes people will go like ask me about inflation.
Yeah. Tell me about inflation.
Oh man, inflation. Where do I even start with inflation? There's just so much to say about inflation. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, oh crap.
Brain work. Get me the answer. Please get me the answer. Well, let me give her the answer. This is a really short answer. It is too much money chasing too few goods. And what you may recall about the Biden administration was they dumped $2 trillion of funny money into the economy for COVID after COVID was done. Mm-hmm. They dumped $2 trillion into the economy. What did they think was going to happen? Every economist out there told them it was going to be massive inflation, and it was massive inflation. We have prices that are up now. We have gas prices that are up. They fell like a nickel this week, and they're going to come back down because you get a feeling in a sense that things are about to wind down over in Iran. But when you go to war with an oil-producing country like Iran, it should not shock anybody that gas prices went up. And gas prices fuel everything else in an economy. So it all makes sense. What didn't make sense was that answer from Kamala Harris. But she's thinking about running, which just shows that she is thinking, I guess. If I were thinking about lunch, which I am about this time, I'm thinking about Funhouse Pizza. I would love a pizza, pepperoni. Actually, we could do the whole meat thing, and Jim Dingman will pile those toppings high. If you like that with a really thin crust, you are going to love Funhouse Pizza. The drinks are cold. It's a fun atmosphere to take your kids for whatever team meeting they have or birthday party, what have you. They got video games, they got rides, and just a fun atmosphere. I was talking to Jim Dingman earlier today. He's got a big event coming up there for a Marine Corps reunion because he was a United States Marine. We thank him for his service to his country. And now he's serving you pizza at 2 locations. Blue Springs on 7 Highway, Lee's Summit on 50 Highway. And we will have, I'm thinking May, probably we'll do an event at the Funhouse Pizza in Lee's Summit. That's always a lot of fun because it's a big room. Mm-hmm. And I got some ideas on some guests that we could have for that. So think about May, and we'll think about a date that we can get that done. 50 Highway, Lee's Summit, 7 Highway, Blue Springs. If you've got an event coming up, or hey, you just want a pizza, funhousepizza.com, get it ordered from Jim Dingman, and you will have a wonderful lunch or dinner from Funhouse Pizza.
Tremendous people.
We thank Michael Schroer for being the real estate agent of record on this podcast. If you're looking to sell your home, buy your next home, maybe buy your first home, wherever you are in whatever stage of life you're in relative to housing, Michael Schroer is going to be able to help you. He's at RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit, and he always comments very positively on the things I put on the Facebook page. You know he is in our camp. He comes to all of our events. He's a fan of the podcast, and he really would love your business if you're in the real estate market. So reach him on his office number, 816-373-8400. You can get him on his cell at 816-520-9342. And his email address is michaelschroer56. Michael, spelled just like you'd spell Michael, Schroer, the number 56 at gmail.com. Let's get going. We got to get this market going here, right?
Yep.
Tax day reflections. You all buttoned up on taxes?
Yep.
Got everything filed by the 15th and all that?
Yep.
Are you a big refund guy, or do you have to pay in the end?
We did well this year.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Good for you. Because that happened a lot with the big beautiful bill that went through. A lot of people came out okay on that. For some reason, I don't. I always end up having to pay. Who knows? But tax day is in the books. My tax advice I would give you is the tax advice that my uncle, who was a CPA, gave me very early in my career, that you should have your withholding set to a point where either you owe just a little bit or you get a little bit of a refund. And there are people I know who bank on getting thousands of dollars back as a refund, right? Mm-hmm. And he cautioned me on that. He said, you're giving the government an interest-free loan on your money. You shouldn't do that. You should have your money all year long. And Scott Besson even made that comment today. He's like, people should adjust their whathholding based on the big, beautiful bill so that they're getting more in their paycheck each week rather than banking on a large refund. Whatever you ended up doing, there's a lot of demagoguery out there about taxes. My feeling on taxes has always been this. We have a government. What do we want the government to do? I look at it completely differently than most people do. I want to start with, what do we want the government to do? We want it to protect the border. We want to have a strong military. We have to pay for Social Security and Medicare because those are two bargains that we made. What else do we want to do? And then how do we pay for it? What is the fairest way for us to pay for this? Democrats look at it like they start with the tax portion of it. It's like, how can we create social policy with our tax code? We got people making too much money over here. They have a duty to spend a lot of that money fixing problems down here. That's the way they look at it. And then they try and tell you that people who make a lot of money don't pay any taxes, which is absolute horseshit. Okay, this is, I pulled this off of AI. Their source is the National Taxpayers Union. Key findings on federal income tax from 2023 to 2024. Remember, we just paid the 2025 taxes. The top 1% of earners, top 1%, paid 38.4% of the total federal income tax. You go to the top 10%, it's 76% of all income taxes. You drop it down to the top quarter, the top 25% paid 87 to 89% of all income taxes. The bottom half, the bottom 50%, paid 3% of all federal income taxes. Many of them don't pay federal income taxes. And the interesting thing in that number is many in this group in the bottom 50% get refundable credits, making it a negative federal tax burden. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens in this country. When Democrats go out there and tell you that the rich don't pay taxes, that's just baloney.
Yeah, here's the chart here. 38.4 top 1%. 59.3 top 5%, 70.5 top 10%. It's also saying under key facts, over time, higher income taxpayers have taken on a larger share of the tax burden, even as top marginal tax rates have fallen from 1980 to today.
And then it depends on where you live. You know, if you live in certain states or certain cities, you're paying a higher percentage of taxes with a lower income. I heard that today. I was trying to assimilate it all in my brain. I don't have a chart to back that up. But in areas like New York City and in places in California, you can make as little as $70,000 a year and have a double-digit local tax rate. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely crazy. And then when you think about all the things, you know, it makes me wonder why I get out of bed and go to work because not only federal income tax, I have property tax, sales tax, state income tax, FICA, the local tax, because the Pharaoh needs to get his 1%, personal property tax, all the things that we pay tax on. It makes you wonder, why do you get out of bed in the morning? Mm-hmm. And then, it occurs to me that Democrats would just love it if we didn't get out of bed in the morning. They are trying to take more of us into a situation where we are dependent on the government. for the whatever programs that they come up with. That is not the way that I look at things. I look at things like I want to find something I love, do it to the best of my ability, and the rewards will come down the road. And then they have in my life. I've been very blessed. Democrats hate me because what they want is for me to be dependent on every little program that they have. And then, if you're dependent on them, they can also turn off the faucet, which we're seeing happen, right?
Right.
What an amazing world. If we could just figure out what we want the government to do and then figure out how to pay for it instead of using tax policy to try and shape social policy. I give the final word on taxes today to the great economist Milton Friedman.
We are all involved in devoting about 40% of our working lives to supporting governmental activities. We all have some of them that we like and some that we dislike, but there are very few of us indeed who believe that we are getting our money's worth for the 40% of our income that is being used to support state, local, and federal governments. And yet, that percentage keeps growing.
Yeah, 40%. I'd go back to 40% if you took everything included, not just federal income tax, FICA, everything that we have to pay. What do you think it adds up to? Is it 50 yet?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Well, we have a special guest coming up next, and that is Mark Muller from Max Motors. So we'll save his little spiel till we get him on. But I will tell you this, when you buy a vehicle from Max Motors, it's going to be an investment for you. And you want to take care of it just like you take care of your body. Christian Brothers Automotive will do just that for you. Christian Brothers Automotive, independently owned and operated. The person paying for this little message is my good friend Tim Porter. And Tim is the owner-operator of the Independence location on 40 Highway, just east of 470/291. They will take care of your vehicle. They take care of my vehicles. I just took mine in for service, and I got the oil change and all that good stuff, and they'll recommend things to you as you need them. And it's like, this is something that needs to be on your radar. We don't need to do it right now, but dial it in for the future. And for me, it's brake fluid of all things. So next time I take it back to Christian Brothers, we're going to do the brake fluid thing. Any repair that is done on your vehicle, because they all break down, will get you a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, whichever benefits you the most. They work on basically everything. Set up that first appointment with my friend Tim Porter at 816-795-6811. Get that oil change and find out why I recommend Christian Brothers. Because they take care of you. They take care of your vehicle, and your vehicle is something you need to take care of your family. So Christian Brothers Automotive, 19600 East US 40 Highway, 816-795-6811. We're on with Mark Muller, Max Motors. Mark, great to have you back with us.
Good to see you, Dale. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. You have been through some tough times, been through a tough stretch, but you have sort of retrenched, as we say, and now you're in Richmond, Clinton, Butler, and Nevada selling American-made cars.
Yes, sir.
Walk me through what happened.
Well, we grew too fast. I really don't want to get into it, but the accounting wasn't. The numbers I was getting as a dealer and an owner were not accurate. And so we had to liquidate a bunch of stores, shore everything up, recapitalize, which we've done. And I'm back working full time.
There you go. Well,
I'm excited.
Some things don't change at Max. I mean, you got the twin shooters going there. You the easiest place you could ever want to buy a vehicle, and you deal in all American vehicles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's your thing. If you don't buy from you, at least buy American, but buy from you, because you've got Ford, you've got Chrysler, you've got GMC. And the interesting thing that we've been talking about on the podcast with you is the desire to become the Amazon of car dealers, to where you go to your website, which we do every week on the podcast, say, pick out a car, and you guys will drive it right to their front door.
Yes, sir. We literally ship nationwide. I've shipped cars to Paris. I've shipped cars to New Zealand.
Wow.
Lots of Canadians. I've shipped cars down into Mexico. North America is the easiest. When you start getting a car to New Zealand, you run into some logistic issues, but we literally ship coast to coast on a regular basis. And people, there's two things that sell cars, Dale: price and availability. That's it.
Well, and you're in the outlying areas now, and you talk about how you beat the big city dealerships every time. What's the difference between being in a place like, let's say, Clinton and Kansas City?
The staff, the people. It's a much more laid back atmosphere. Our overhead is less. We, running a small store in Clinton or Butler, Nevada, Richmond, that Ford store in Richmond's a gold mine just waiting to be tapped. And we're just getting traction in there. But the difference is our overhead is lower, and we don't have 30 walk-ins a day. A walk-in traffic would be someone coming through your dealership, and we may get 2 or 3. Every deal is precious. Every deal we handle as professionally as we can. Our managers get involved, and we will do whatever it takes, if it's legal and moral, to sell a car. Whatever it takes.
I love it how you put it that way, legal and moral. MaxMotors.com is the website, and that is your front door into all of these dealerships that sell these American-made cars. I saw the other day that somebody from Florida came up to buy a vehicle from you.
Yes, Pensacola, great guy. He bought a really cool trimmer, Marsh Gray, 2500 diesel. It was a $110,000 pickup. Look, affordability is very, very real today. People, it's insane what these vehicles cost. I don't get to choose the price. The manufacturer gives them to us. And when I want to clarify something, I've had people say, Marco, you say buy American, yet you have in your inventory, you have 11 Toyotas, 4 Nissans, and 8 Hondas. Well, I do. Number one, I trade for them, but I also buy the cars. When we need inventory, and these are good cars. The Japs build a good cars, the Koreans build a good cars, the Germans build a good car. What I say buy American is support our manufacturers. Once that car is built and already in this country, I'm going to sell it. I sell metal, right?
That makes sense.
So when I say buy American, I'm saying if you're going to go order a new car or you're going to buy a new pickup, look at the 4. You said we're GMC, we're General Motors, and we're Chevrolet and GMC. Buick, Pontiac, we don't have. We gave up Buick. Pontiac's gone. Oldsmobile's gone. And we have Ford, Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram. We sell a ton of Ram pickups. And, look, we're in the ag community. We sell a lot of cars we're ag-based. It's just that simple, whether it's cattle or beans. And something people don't understand is what's called a commodity exchange. I've been trying to explain this, and people are calling me. These are farmers and ranchers. They've been their whole life. They don't understand. They didn't even know. So if you have a $50,000 pickup you're buying, and you go sell $50,000 worth of beef cattle at the auction, you bring that to us, and you don't. It's like trading a car. You only pay tax on the difference in the state of Missouri.
Wow.
So there's zero tax difference. You understand?
That sounds like a good deal.
It really is. I've taken in truckloads of pigs, goats, guns, motorcycles. I've taken in snowmobiles. I don't know what the hell anyone needs a snowmobile for in Missouri. Maybe they brought it when they moved in but I'll take anything in on trade. And we love the commodities because it saves our valued customers a lot of money when they go to tag the car.
Well, between my 2 Shelties, I got 50 pounds worth of Shelties. What can I get for that?
What the hell's a Sheltie?
It's a dog. Come on.
A Sheltie. You know what? Thank God my wife's not on this call because I'd probably be owning 2 more dogs.
Yeah, you'd have to fight my wife for it. I don't think it would work out too well. Well, God, family, country, those are the values that we have on Dale Carter's America, and I know Mark Muller and Max Motors, you have those values as well. Just kind of in an overview, I know you're a guy who follows everything that's going on in the world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in the world?
Look, I'm 66 years old in 2 weeks. In 1979, I was 19 years old and I was in a community college. Bunch of kids started picking some Iranians because they took our people hostage. I took an ass whipping, Dale. There were 6 guys beating up 3 skinny little Iranian kids, and it was wrong. I'm a right and wrong guy. These kids didn't kidnap our hostages.
Right.
The mullahs did. And I think everyone's all upset. Democrats, Republicans, independents. The Republicans are mad because you have no war, right? You got the Democrats mad because Trump's doing it. The independents, some like it, some don't. The facts are this. They've been at war with us for 47 years. And then when Ronald Reagan was president, they blew up the Khobar Towers, if you remember that, in Beirut. What did we do? We lost, a couple of hundred Marines, maybe?
Exactly.
So let's pull out of Beirut. And who do you think was behind 9/11? It was Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, all of these terrorist groups around the globe. They're all funded by Iran. They are the big Satan. And there are hundreds of millions of Christians have been slaughtered around the globe, funded by Iran. Now, they were a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. Do I believe it? Hey, remember the chemical weapons, why we had to go attack under Bush?
Right.
We didn't find any.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what to believe, but I do know if they had one, they would use it.
They would use it. We agree on that.
Right. So I think Trump's doing the right thing. They've been trying. They've not been trying. They've been killing us through their proxies and themselves for 47 years. We're at war.
Well, let's hope that it ends quickly and that we get back on track. And, you're a little bit older than I am, but I certainly know enough about World War II to know that Japan attacked us and then we attacked Germany because of, they were allies. And then after World War II, we rebuilt both of those countries, and they are Western democracies and they are great economic powers. There's no reason Iran can't be a great economic power.
Look, the Persian people are very, very, very good people. I thank you for saying that I do keep up with world affairs, because I do.
Well, I know you do.
Every day, there's nothing wrong with the Persian people. There's nothing wrong with the Arab people. There's nothing wrong with the Muslim religion. There's nothing wrong with the Buddhists. We have to get out of our little shells about if it's not my way, it's wrong. That's all nonsense, Dale. But I'm going to tell you something. You have factions within these, just like in the United States. Look at this crazy shit going on in Minnesota. You have crazies, and they have crazy, fanatical Muslims that have taken over, and they've killed over 30 or 40,000 people, gunned them down in the streets. Where's the protests? Why isn't everyone upset about that?
Yeah.
They're the ones who funded the death in the October surprise when they killed all those Jews. They were putting babies in microwaves while the mothers and fathers watched. For God's sakes, this is such a tremendous evil. If we had a chance to stop Hitler before he ever got the full power, we should have done it. And by the way, Churchill warned us, Neville Chamberlain, if you remember this guy, he was the guy that said, oh, no, we just need to make a deal and have peace. You can't make peace with evil.
You really can't.
Only thing you can do with the evil is contain it. And when it's getting ready to get out, it's got to be destroyed.
Step on it like a bug. That's what we're doing. Yep, exactly. All right. Well, Mark, I appreciate that. You're in the market for a car. You want an American-made vehicle. You got to get to one of the Max dealerships, Richmond, Clinton, Butler, and Nevada, and buy from that guy, Mark Muller, because he is a fantastic, great American, and we are honored to have you on the podcast. MaxMotors.com. That's where you find him on the internet. Again, find the car you want. They'll drive it to you. It'll be the easiest place you ever bought your next vehicle. Mark, thank you so much for being with us, and best of luck to you in your new model here.
One quick second.
Yeah.
I will take care of these people myself. I will start the deal. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Mark Muller. You can see me. I'm the guy with the cowboy hat. Just put in Mark Muller, Max Motors. You'll find me. Private message me, and I will personally take care of you. And there's not another dealer anywhere that's doing this. This is what I do, and I love working with people.
I didn't even recognize you. You got like a golf shirt on and no cowboy hat. I mean, where's the Western look here?
I do, but look, here's the problem. See how that I've got my background grayed out.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Oh, wait a minute. I guess I could talk.
You
like
can do that, and you don't have the stogie going in your mouth there. I mean, there's a lot going on. There you go. There we go. That's a little bit closer.
My real love, Dale, is cattle.
Yeah.
All right. I love working. I work cattle Tuesday morning. I live on a ranch, and we're just country folk, and we know what's right and wrong, and we're going to do the right thing.
Well, and I love steak. That's why we get along. Mark, have a great day, and thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, Dale.
You bet. This podcast is made up of a lot of friends of mine who believe like we believe and want to try and get their message out. So please do make sure that you go to our sponsors when you need things. And these days with the severe weather that's coming through, as we're recording the podcast, they had a tornado last night in the Clinton area, which is one of the places that Mark Muller has a dealership. We've had tornadoes on the Kansas side as well. And we're just scratching the surface of severe weather season. You need to get somebody on your roof who can give you a roof health report. And if you need a new roof, nobody better than my friend Austin Watterson at Royal Roofing and Solar. You find them on the web at roofedbyroyal.com. These days, they are working with Tamco. That may not mean anything to you. It is beyond class 4 in terms of roofing material, hail guard. And we get hail in this neck of the woods here. And a few weeks ago, we had Austin on, and he had like some of these Tamco tiles laid out, roofing tiles, and he was hitting them with a hammer, and he couldn't do damage to them. That's a lot harder than a hailstone is going to hit. Just had the folks from Roofed by Royal up on my roof, giving me the spring health report. That's important because, as these storms go through, there may be things on your roof that need to be fixed, even if you don't need a complete roof replacement. Roofing has changed a lot. Gone are the days when you're going to get somebody who's going to say, there's a hail mark, and somebody like Bob Watson at State Farm is going to say, I'm going to write you a check for a brand new roof. That doesn't happen anymore. So get the right roof on your house, reduce those homeowners insurance payments, and you'll be better off down the road. And Austin can explain all that to you when you go to roofedbyroyal.com or call him up, 816-540-7057. Family company. Longtime friends of my family right there in Cass County, but they work everywhere in the Kansas City area. Actually, he's expanding his company into other cities and other states as well. Roofedbyroyal.com. That's where that conversation starts out. And then when you have that conversation, my buddy Bob Watson's going to be very happy because you're going to be able to get a reduced rate on your homeowner's policy. You bundle that with your car insurance, and State Farm can give you ridiculously low rates, yet still be there when you need them like a good neighbor, like you've counted on State Farm for years. Bob Watson's at 816-229-7878, 7th and Main in Blue Springs. Auto, home, life, commercial insurance. If it's important enough for you to insure, you need my guy, Bob Watson. He's been my State Farm insurance agent for 31 years. He's been with State Farm more than 50 years. He's the gold standard in the Kansas City area and a dear, dear friend of mine. So get a rate quote from Bob, and we'll see if we can't get your business going towards State Farm. So last week, we left you with the TDS-suffering Karen smacking a Trump doll on a table multiple times a day just to get out her frustrations. You said that was sad. I mean, I thought it was funny.
I mean, it's funny and sad. Yeah.
It's funny, and it can be both things, sure. So today, with Trump fatigue in the air and an open feud going on now with Pope Leo, with the hope that lightning won't strike, we leave you with this.
Folks, as your Pope, we're going to make the Catholic Church great again. The greatest it's ever been. Believe me.
Everything is falling in its rightful place.
Come on. That's funny, right?
Yeah, just the AI stuff doesn't do it for me.
Did lightning strike? Lightning did not strike. So until next week, we'll be back with you again with another fun episode. This is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.